Hello everyone, my name is Brian and welcome to Warrior Wednesday. This is the follow-up episode on the Mage Monday. On Warrior Wednesday we'll try to go over every single warrior, go over their abilities, how I build them, how I usually play them. I do this as the same way with Mage Monday. So I'll first go with the mages and the warriors, and when those are finished I'll go to the hunters, the guardians and the assassins. I started off with one of my favorites. This is Bellona, and we're playing on Clash. I'll go over her passive. Each time she hits a basic attack or gets hit by a basic attack, she gains protection and movement speed stack up to 5 stacks, so she gets actually a very good amount of movement speed and a very good amount of power. Her 1 is a kind of a small dash with a cone damage dealing ability. It stops on impact if you hit it very close to you, so it can be blocked. It provides a slow, and it also changes her weapon. Every time Bellona uses her 1 or 2 or 3, she gains another weapon she uses to fight with. If she uses a 1, she uses a shield and a sword. Every 3 hits she hits with a sword, she gains a block stack, and a block stack blocks an auto attack and reflects the damage it would have dealt. So it can hit actually quite a lot, and you can also remove a lot of damage you receive from, for instance, hunters or high hitting auto attack based gods like Chronos, Sol or anything like that. Her 2, she spins around as you can see here, and then she dunks. For every god she hits with the swing, she gains 30% additional damage. With that damage, she gets an insane amount of additional damage. She can do an insane amount of damage when she hits every single of the enemy gods. You can practically one-shot someone at low level with a maxed out hammer, with your 2 maxed out. And your weapon changes into a hammer. The hammer changes your auto attacks to a quite slow progressing auto attack, but it hits in an AoE. So that's a very, very nice for minion clear and such. A 3 is a disarm. It's the first and only. No, it's not the only disarm yet, but it was the first disarm brought into the game. The disarm lasts for about, I think it's 2.5 seconds at maximum rank, and it's a line nuke, so it also deals damage. It changes her weapon to the kind of spiky whip she has. Every 3rd hit you do with it, you get healed for a specific amount, up to 60 I believe, at max rank of your 3. And your basic attack range is a bit larger. Like for instance Aurelia, she also has a larger range with her auto attacks as well. Bellona has that as well when she has her 3 activated. You will continue to have the weapon you used until you either use another weapon or if you don't attack for a while. So I think it's about 5 seconds, I'm not entirely sure, but it should have been should be something like that. And as you probably saw just now, her ultimate is a leap. The center of the leap does damage and stuns the opponent, and around the area, in a large area, comes an aura for physical and magical protection and physical power. So every single hunter, assassin and warrior will get a power spike and a lot of defenses in that ultimate. So if you're fighting against someone in that ultimate, you always have an advantage because of the additional defense you get. Can also be used as an escape. It's not recommended. As you saw there, I got stunned when I was spinning around in my 2. That's one of the good ways to counter Bellona. If you have a fast CC, you can actually just stun her out of her 2, so she doesn't do the dunk damage, which does the most of the damage, especially when you have hit other enemies. Well, as you can see, I started off with power boots. With Bellona, I don't really have a preference what boots I like to use mostly. Here you can see I could have gone for it, but I didn't go for it. Was a bit risky, I didn't know where all the enemies were, and without my ultimate it's quite hard to escape sometimes. Anyway, I usually go for either Power of Ninja Tabies. Both go quite well for Bellona because she has all her abilities do damage, so that's where Warrior Tabi would be very good. But her auto attacks are also very strong because she has those additional features on her auto attacks when she uses her 1, 2, 3. So, well, she is actually auto attack based, but her ability damage potential is also quite high. I went for Frostbound Hammer second. I usually do that because it provides a lot of health, provides you a slow on your auto attacks, also provides some power. It's overall a very good item for her. You can see here a lot of team fighting going on here. As you can see, the Honor can't really run away from me because of my Frostbound, and I do get some healing from my whip, so I'm not really too scared of the enemy Cabrakan. He could have cancelled his Tremble, but he wouldn't have been able to get away because of my Frostbound. I went Ikeval second. I like it because it's very cheap, it gives you a lot of attack speed and it gives you a good amount of power. Especially combined with the Frostbound, you'll be able to stack up that passive from Ikeval a lot. And that will help out dealing a huge amount of damage in a short duration. Especially if you attack someone, for instance, like a hunter that doesn't really have an escape. If you're able to sneak up on them or use your 1 to get close, you can do a few auto attacks, then spin around for a dunk, dealing additional damage because of the Ikeval. As you can see here, even on the tank, who doesn't really have a lot of defense, but still did a lot of damage. I usually try to play Bellona very aggressive. As you can see here, I just dunk in and got 2 kills for it. But I have no more mana left, there are 2 of them. And I have no mana, so I'm falling back. Zeus is willing to fight. Well, he just fought, so that's not really a big of an issue. I couldn't have helped a lot. Could have slowed, but it would be quite a risk for me, because I do not have a lot of health, and without any mana I can't really defend myself properly other than slowing the enemy with an auto attack, which also slows me. As you can see, I head back. I'm going for Bloodforge. This game was quite fat, so I felt like I could go a lot of damage. Usually you go either second or third items on the fence, depending on what the enemies are. As you can see here, they have 3 physical guards, and their magical guards are Cabrakan and Anubis. I wasn't too afraid of Cabrakan and Anubis, because Anubis is quite easy to counter by just not getting... if you're not getting ulted with that entire combo, it wouldn't be too much of an issue. As you can see, I get a lot of damage from the physicals, and an Honor ultimate finishes me off. So that's why I am going for some physical defense now. Their overall physical damage is much higher than the magical damage. Their Odin does a lot of damage with his dunk because he's not too tanky. So I do need to be careful for that, especially because of my build. My build is very, very greedy in damage. Because I play so aggressive as Bellona, it is not always as effective as going for some defense. If I went for some defense instead of Bloodforge, I probably would have survived that encounter. I don't have as much sustain, but it's not really too much of an issue. As you can see, there's a little blind nuke when you dunk with your 2. So if you're not, if you're against someone that's really familiar with fighting against the Bellona, they can just sidestep. That's a good way to counter her, because as she spins around, she can actually still aim her dunk. But if you are quick enough with a sidestep or a quick dash or anything, you can easily dodge her 2. So her damage potential with her 2 is insanely high, but it's also quite easy to counter by either just dodging it or just by CCing her out of her spin. You won't always be able to do so, but if you're able to, it's very nice. Anyway, after the 4th item, some defense, I either go for, it's very dependent on the game. If I'm against a lot of tanks with a lot of defense, I usually go for an executioner just to deal with that. Or if I want some sustain, I go for a Bloodforge. As you see here, I went for a Bloodforge first, and I was able to finish off Honor there before he was able to use his ultimate on Merc. And here you can see I used my ultimate. I don't know entirely if that was necessary, but I felt like doing it, so I did it anyway. Her ultimate cooldown is a bit shorter than the usual. I think it's about 75-80 seconds. 75 or 80, I'm not entirely sure. So it's not the shortest cooldown. They nerfed her. It was 60 seconds at max rank when she started. That was a bit too powerful. But as you can see, they surrendered. Makes sense. We had the Phoenix quite early. We have a few that were quite fat. Overall, it was a pretty short game. I hope I've been able to tell you something about how I play her. Overall, play her quite aggressive, but you do need to be careful with that. Especially with the build I had. If I'm not careful, I will be destroyed quite fast. As you saw when that Odin dunked me with the Honor ultimate. It actually finished me off quite fast. I'll just have a look at the builds for now. Let's see. Well, as I said, I went for Warrior's Tabi. I could also go for Ninja Tabi. Both actually pretty good. I usually go for Ninja Tabi when I also go for an Executioner. I didn't go this game. I probably would have gone for it if I was able to finish my 6th item. But I was not able to because the game was already finished in 11 minutes. As I was saying before, I usually go Frostbound Hammer after I go for the boots. This is because the slow and the amount of health and power it provides is very good and it's not too expensive of an item. After that I usually go something attack speed if I'm feeling like I'm able to, but if I'm getting bursted a lot or getting out in situations where I only have a bit of health left, it's probably better to go for some defense. It depends on if you're against a lot of physical or magical or what type of god they are, what you're more afraid of. In Conquest it's probably better to go for some physical defense because you're usually against physicals and the minions are also physical damage dealing. Then other than that I would pick Ichafal most of the times. After you pick up Ichafal and or a defense item, probably Ichafal your next choice or the defense item. The order doesn't really matter too much, but I would pick them as 3rd and 4th item. After that you'll probably need either some more defense. If you don't need the defense, you'll need either a Bloodforge or an Executioner. I will pick up an Executioner if I'm playing against a lot of tanky characters, and I'll pick up Bloodforge if I'm against more powerful characters, but I want to box them a bit more. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this new series. If you have some suggestions on what to play next, I will be playing every single warrior and every single mage, of every type. I will play every single god and make a commentary about them this way, but I'll start with the warriors and mages first. If you have a suggestion on what mage you want to see next, I can definitely do that if I haven't played them already. So if you have any suggestions, just leave them in the comments and I'll just go with that. I don't have an order planned, so I'm flexible in that way to do whatever I want. And I hope you learned something about Bellona this day. And as always, good luck, have fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one.